are these people?
Assal Rad, professor, one of my favorite speakers, and she's been correcting all the headlines, which is amazing. Western media will always give Israel the benefit of propaganda. Talking about genocide, obviously, for nearly 2 years, Western media has normalized Israeli war crimes and dehumanized Palestinians amid Gaza's ongoing genocide. They've been complicit, whitewashing, and we've talked about this at length, but I just think she puts it beautifully.
Oh, right? God. That fucking photo is brutal.
Blood on the phone, looking at the journalist
on the fucking phone.
On a lock screen. Yep. All right. Language isn't neutral. It shapes the way we perceive global events with profound implications for public opinion. In the context of the Gaza genocide, the discourse deployed by Western media is far from objective. Do you denounce Hamas? What is it? What do you say, Pierce Morgan? How about do you denounce Israel? It often contributes to the dehumanization of Palestinians while reinforcing pro-Israel narratives. This bias isn't just about what is reported, it's about what isn't, but also about how the story is told. Israel's recent bombing of Nasser Hospital provides a striking illustration of how media coverage can normalize war crimes. Now, if you don't know what happened, she's going to describe it, but Reef and Colin covered this on INN News. This was the double tap. So they bombed the hospital, and then they waited and sent more bombs to kill the rescue workers and the journalists that covered the bombing. For nearly 2 years, we've witnessed a clear pattern of mainstream media coverage on Gaza. Israeli actions are often described using terms like self-defense or targeting Hamas, framing them as justified, and Israeli officials are treated as legitimate sources for the facts regarding all events. On the other hand, Palestinian sources like journalists, witnesses, and doctors are often doubted, and the historical context of their systematic oppression under Israeli occupation is often absent from the reporting. Like it all happened in a vacuum. This linguistic imbalance shapes how the issue of Palestinian liberation is even understood, positioning Israel as the victim and Palestinians as aggressors, regardless of the power disparity between the two. And wealth disparity, by the way. So this describes Israel as the cry-bullying victim. For decades, Western media has perpetuated this skewed narrative and consistently minimized Palestinian suffering while amplifying Israeli victimhood. A January 2024 report from The Intercept offered evidence of the systematic bias in major Western outlets, such as New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times.
Fuck The Intercept.
Fuck The Intercept, too. The quantitative
and
analysis.
Also fuck them. Fuck all those fucking news.
Right. All of them. The quantitative analysis revealed that emotive words like slaughter or massacre were almost exclusively used to describe Israeli civilian deaths, while adopting more neutral terms for Palestinian civilian deaths. This imbalance isn't an accident. It's a deliberate effort by the media to distort the reality of the conflict and shape public perception to diminish the scale of Israel's violence against Palestinians. The corporate media's coverage in the aftermath of Israel's most recent horrific attack on Nasser Hospital provides another egregious example of this calculated bias. The attack, reminder, which killed at least 20 people, including journalists and rescue workers, was part of a broader pattern of Israeli assaults on Gaza's healthcare infrastructure. Also something that we have been talking about at length for 2 years. We've been bringing stories of them targeting healthcare workers, targeting ambulances, targeting hospitals, kidnapping Dr. Hussam Abu Safia in December. And free that guy now. All right? Despite overwhelming evidence, Western media outlets initially prioritized official Israeli statements that tried to soften public outrage by calling the bombing a mistake, running headlines that framed the incident as a tragic mishap. This form of reporting, which downplays Israeli crimes and legitimizes its violence, is not new. However, what made the hospital bombing particularly notable was the release of the footage showing that it was hit in a double tap attack, clearly targeting the rescue workers in broad daylight who were responding to the initial strike. And of course, there's no accountability. As footage of Israel's direct strike on rescue workers spread across social media, fueling public outcry, it was evident that this was not an isolated incident, all right, we know that, but a deliberate targeting of journalists and medical personnel. Another one. Instead of condemning the attack as an obvious war crime, Western media echoed Israeli claims. Again. When Israel later stated that the hospital was targeted due to a Hamas camera, and they really published that in fucking Reuters, Hamas camera being present.
This is the fucking dumbest shit.
A claim so outlandish it's almost laughable. The media unquestionably reported this absurdity as a justification for the attack. And thanks to Reuters, it was disseminated to every major outlet in the world. By accepting and reporting Israel's explanation, the media helped reinforce the narrative that bombing hospitals was somehow acceptable in the context of targeting Hamas or a so-called Hamas camera. This failure to challenge Israeli claims is emblematic of how Western media regularly parrots official accounts, even when they defy basic morality and logic. Just like we talked about in the last story with Arturo. Go ahead.
They sent 3 fucking missiles. You need 3 missiles to kill a camera? Like, no. Like, we're not buying this fucking bullshit anymore. We're done. Fuck that shit.
Here we go again. We're dropping frames. We're dropping frames, and hopefully we won't lose the stream again. God damn it. Well, so much for that idea. Oh boy, this is fun. Okay. So it wasn't until after the initial wave of coverage, which sought to then absolve Israel of yet another war crime, that some outlets began to report the truth. All right. An investigation by the New York Times contradicted Israel's account and rationale for the attack. Later coverage from the British bullshit company and, cunty news network revealed that Israel had attacked Nasser Hospital more than the 2 initial strikes originally reported. As Reef just said, it was actually 3 strikes. Though the later reports refuted Israel's explanation, they still didn't employ the language of war crimes, and the damage had already been done. That's the idea, is to report the wrong thing first, so the perception is out there, and then correct it on page 17 later on. Indeed, after flooding the airwaves in the wake of the attacks with Israel's ridiculous explanations, Israeli talking points had already become entrenched in the public discourse. That's the idea. That's their game, is to get people believing the nonsense and then be like, yeah, but that's not really true and blah, 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 and then retract it. But already, again, what's the story that a lie can make its way around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on? Ayuba Ahmad on Substack. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for all you do, man. Really, I appreciate you. Even Reuters, which had its own reporter killed in this attack, not just this attack.
I know.
Lebanon. Reuters failed to acknowledge the deliberate nature of the Israeli strikes. Instead, their headlines again repeated Israeli statements asserting that journalists were not the intended targets. This despite overwhelming evidence that Israel has consistently targeted and killed their Palestinian colleagues and employees in Gaza, resulting in a staggering number of casualties among the press alone. And their families, by the way. So now she's talking here about propaganda over truth. This again is Assal Rad, Professor Assal Rad, writing for the New Arab. She's great. The media's initial reporting and subsequent failure to hold Israel truly accountable highlights a disturbing trend in which Western outlets choose Israeli propaganda over the truth, often downplaying and normalizing blatant violations of international law. As such, the media allows the continued dehumanization of Palestinians and the normalization of Israel's atrocities, even genocide and ethnic cleansing and baby murder and starvation, forced starvation and drought. The Nasser hospital bombing is not an aberration. It's part of a larger pattern of Israeli aggression against Gaza's civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, homes, and schools. And now they're doing the same thing in Lebanon. And they're doing the same thing in southern Syria, too. These attacks are plainly war crimes under international law. We've been calling that every week. Yet, Western media's refusal to hold Israel accountable or to even call their actions by their appropriate name is symptomatic of a deeper problem of how Israel's oppression of Palestinians has been understood in the Western world. Again, a lot of it is who owns the fucking outlets? Who's hiring the reporters and the editors? And who are they loyal to? And who are they being influenced by? Look at what just happened with David Ellison. We're going to talk about that later on tonight at Skydance, now looking to buy the Free Press and put Barry Weiss in charge of CBS News potentially. If maybe even all of CBS, who knows? But rather than immediately challenging Israel's account of the Nasser hospital bombing and contextualizing it within the larger story of the Gaza genocide, legacy media repeated Israeli talking points, again helping to normalize the attack as regrettable but inevitable part of war, not a one-sided massacre. When was the last time you even heard about any rockets or any return fire coming out of Gaza anywhere? And how is this a battle again? Yeah. This ongoing bias in Western media coverage of Gaza is not only about misreporting, it's also about complicity. We're going to talk about complicity later on tonight when we get to Matt Taibbi and shitting all over him. When the media acts as stenographers for genocidal states instead of defenders of truth, they become enablers of that very violence. Well, they also are funding and providing air support and spy flight support and military support and operational support and intelligence support. So yes, they certainly are enablers of that very violence, not just the media, because the media acts as a propaganda arm of the U.S. government and the Israeli government. By normalizing war crimes, Western media is culpable for them. I believe that there were media that were indicted and hanged at Nuremberg. And I believe that people like Piers Morgan, if we do have a Nuremberg-style hearing at some point, the media like David Muir and all the lead anchors for all the major networks that spouted this stuff unquestioningly all need to go in front of that tribunal. And they're having one, by the way, right now called the Gaza Tribunal. I believe Jeremy Corbyn and all the people that do these tribunals, there were several of them about Julian Assange, I remember. They had tribunals. Thank you to Descent in Bloom and to Sean the Accord Lord already for tonight. They've already contributed using Cash App and PayPal. The other ways to do that, again, are at Cash App $ Indie News Network. We've got ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. That's what Sean did. Then we've got the websites at IndieNewsNow.com. We're live there now, and there's a ton of different news that you can catch up with, all from independent sources, and at the Substacks at INNNewsletter.com, and as well as at IndieMediaToday.com, where we're actually live right now also. Welcome and hello to everyone watching on Substack. Thank you so much for doing that. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. I love you all, and see you soon, everyone. Have a good night.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
We are out of here.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry. My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you